What's up, Moxie? HomeWOD day number 87. We've got two pieces going down today. The first one is going to be some true sprinting. We're going to go every 2 minutes for 10 total sets, a 100-meter all-out running sprint. Our second piece coming up after that is really going to target our hamstrings with some foot elevated glute bridges and dumbbell RDLs. Now, before we start diving into the sprint stuff today, I really want to emphasize one big idea. And that idea is the importance of warming up for sprints. If we don't do this well, if we don't take enough time to first of all make sure our hips and our hamstrings, our ankles are all mobile, activated, and ready to go, as well as taking plenty of time to go from kind of our walking pace all the way up to our full sprint, we run the risk of tweaking something while we do these sprints. I know just from my own experience, having done some sprint workouts with an inadequate warm-up, you can do some damage here. And I don't say that to scare you. I just say that to hopefully encourage you to really spend some time warming up today and making sure that you're ready to do some sprints. Now, on the topic of warm-up, I've linked to Chris Henshaw's running warm-up in the workout prep notes on SugarWOD. You should definitely check that out. It's one of the best running warm-ups I've ever seen. It'll take 10, 15 minutes or something in that range, and it's gonna get your hips, hamstrings, ankles, everything ready to go from the couch all the way to being able to start building up to our working speed. Now, a couple of things that we do wanna emphasize here. Number one, there's a mobility component to this, but there's also an activation component. Now, your hips will really get activated in this warm-up. Your ankles, there's gonna be some walking variations that are gonna make sure your calves and your ankles are used to moving maybe in some different ways, and that you're ready to rock and roll there. Activating our hamstrings though can be a little bit more challenging. So one thing that I think would be really helpful to do is find yourself a wall. And you're gonna stand with your back, let's say about 6 inches or so from that wall. And then all we're gonna do is pull our heel straight up to our butt. And while you do that, you have to make sure that your heel doesn't hit the wall, but you also don't want your knee, right, to come forward as you pull. So pulling your heel straight up to your butt, and then you're gonna try to hold it there, is really gonna help turn our hamstrings on. And if we do that against the wall, it'll help ensure that our heel is going where it needs to. If we hit 2 sets of about 20 on each leg, that can really help us get our hamstrings ready for some of the demands of sprinting going down the road. Now, one other thing that I think is important to bring out about sprints is that we don't just need to get our hips and hamstrings ready. We also need to take some time to build up from kind of our base pace up to that full sprint pace. We can think about this like we were warming up for maybe a heavy single on back squat. We wouldn't just, do all of our mobility and our activation stuff and then throw, 85, 90, 95% of our back squat on the bar and just hit that rep, right? We would probably take 5, 6 sets to go from that empty barbell all the way up to that 85%. We want to do that same thing here. And we're going to do that through some 50-meter intervals. We're going to do 6 of them. You're going to run at probably starting at a relatively relaxed pace, building that up to something that's really close to what you want to hold for your 100 meters, with some recovery just being walking back to your starting line each time. So make sure you hit that, guys. Your warm-up today should be significant. I would say probably anywhere in the 25 to 30-minute range to get you ready for these 10 by 100 meter sprints. And as one final note, be prepared for your hamstrings to experience some extreme soreness going down the road. This really puts some different demands on our body, and it's going to make us better. Now, we're just gonna add some insult to injury, if you will, with our finisher for the day. We're going to continue targeting our hamstrings, and it's also hopefully gonna help us maybe even cool down slightly. We're gonna do some foot elevated glute bridges. We're gonna want those on a relatively high surface, probably something at least 18 inches off the ground. And when we do a glute bridge there, we're really just putting the emphasis on our hamstrings now instead of in the glutes. The other movement that we have there is the dumbbell RDL. These are gonna be really light today, so hopefully they'll actually help stretch out our hamstrings a little bit more versus being a specific hamstring activation exercise. So with that single dumbbell or whatever really light weight it is that we're doing, we're gonna take 2 seconds on the eccentric, so 2 seconds down, and then we're going to explode back up to standing. We're gonna do a set of 15 there, so pretty high volume, but again, hopefully we're getting a little bit of a mobility and range of motion increase from this, and it's not just burning out our hamstrings. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy how today's a little bit different than the norm. Make sure to hit that good warm up, log your results on HomeWOD, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.